Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to unpack a really fascinating framework from Happywise, created by Chiara Perazzini. We are looking at a massive shift happening in the professional world right now. The shift from a culture of hyper-operativity, just frantically getting things done, to a culture of deliberate understanding. So if you've ever felt like you are running at absolute top speed but somehow not actually getting anywhere, well, this explainer is exactly for you.
Let's jump right into the core thesis of this whole framework. Quote, value lies not only in producing answers, but in understanding which questions deserve attention. For the longest time, professional value was all about our capacity to do, producing quickly, checking off that endless list of tasks. Just being busy was the ultimate flex, right? It was the signal of effectiveness. But today, with AI and automation handling so many of those executive tasks, and just this overwhelming avalanche of information everywhere, human value has fundamentally changed.
Moving from doing to discerning really puts you at a crossroads. And I want to be super clear here. This does not mean becoming slower. And let me just repeat that because it's absolutely crucial. It doesn't mean you're slowing down. It means you stop letting speed drag you in the completely wrong direction. We don't want to sprint down the wrong path. We have to choose our direction deliberately.
Think about our historical baseline. It's all about doing, producing, responding, just being incredibly busy. But discerning is what we actually need right now. It means pausing to distinguish what is genuinely urgent from what is just important. It's about separating hard data from subjective interpretation and noticing when you're missing context before taking action. Because if we don't make this shift, we risk working incredibly hard just to solve the completely wrong problem. And honestly, the cost there is personal too. A life made solely of execution just sort of passes you by without any true understanding.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, Hyperoperativity as Avoidance.
So, why do we cling so tightly to constant doing? Well, hyperoperativity is very often just a form of avoidance. Doing gives us this false, immediate sense of progress. But I want to ask you this critical question right now. When an organization is hyperactive, has it lost its capacity to learn? Taking a second to stop and think brings up really tough reflections, like, hey, is this work actually still necessary? Or are we addressing the root cause here or just putting a Band-Aid on a symptom? Discernment gives us that absolutely vital space between a stimulus and our response.
And the science totally backs this up. The ability to formulate the right problem, problem finding, is actually way more important than problem solving. There's this classic study by researchers Getzels and Csikszentmihalyi, and they found that people who rushed to define a problem ended up producing far less original solutions. The ones who succeeded? They were the people who could tolerate exploratory ambiguity. They sat with the uncertainty and went much further. So, when we only reward speed, we're actually discouraging the exact phase that determines the quality of the outcome. We're just exhausting people without making them effective.
Moving right along to Section 2, Critical Thinking and Metacognition.
So here are the 3 pillars of critical thinking we need to keep front of mind. First, every single piece of data requires context. Second, every interpretation you make contains hidden assumptions. And third, every decision includes consequences and trade-offs. It sounds simple, right? But there's a massive roadblock here, and that's confirmation bias. We naturally hunt for information that confirms what we already believe. The only real antidote to this is actively, intentionally searching for evidence that could prove us wrong.
To beat that bias, we have to use metacognition. That basically means observing your own mental processes. It's not just thinking, it's noticing how you are thinking. So challenge yourself. Am I genuinely evaluating the situation right now, or am I just looking for confirmation of what I already think? Remember, feeling certain is not a reliable indicator of a good decision. Just because a leader is highly confident doesn't mean they've actually understood the situation. If we don't interrogate our own thinking, our personal blind spots will literally become the collective rules of the organization.
Of course, absolutely none of this works if we don't have attention. Discernment is practically impossible if your focus is constantly being fragmented by notifications and endless task switching. If you're in an environment that treats every single request as a 5-alarm fire, deep thinking goes out the window. We have to fiercely protect our attention. That means grouping similar activities together and flat out refusing to automatically fill every free slot on our calendar with a new meeting just because it looks empty.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 4 energies. The Happywise framework shows us that discernment requires 4 distinct types of energy. You've got mental energy, which helps you sustain attention and evaluate your options. Then there's emotional energy, and this is huge. It's what lets you tolerate doubt and complexity without rushing to a premature conclusion just because disagreement feels awkward. Next is physical energy, managing your fatigue and sleep, because an exhausted brain simply cannot maintain cognitive control. And finally, spiritual energy, which ensures you're making choices that actually align with meaning, values, and your true identity. If you deplete any one of these, you're going to default right back to premature, immediate reactions. All of this relies heavily on the pillars of the science of happiness. Discernment grows through what they call plus being, which is just a deep awareness of your own emotional state. It also requires plus discipline, through consistent decision-making rituals where you actually say your assumptions out loud. Then there's plus we, recognizing that we desperately need diverse perspectives to see the whole system. And lastly, plus positive chemistry. This is about building real relational safety so that fear and pressure don't shrink our capacity to think broadly.
Let's bring it all together in Section 4. Practices of discernment.
Here are 3 highly actionable, concrete, professional practices you can literally start using today to create that gap between a stimulus and your response. Number 1, the pause. When a problem lands on your desk, stop and ask yourself, what do I know for a fact? Versus, what am I just interpreting? Number 2, the double perspective. Look at every decision from 2 angles. What does this fix in the short term, and what kind of system dynamics does it generate in the medium term? And number 3, the review. Don't just look at whether the final outcome was good or bad. Actually go back and evaluate the process and the assumptions you made along the way.
And, you know, this whole discernment thing isn't just for the office. It totally applies to our personal lives, which, let's be honest, are often running on autopilot. So here is a fantastic 10-minute exercise for your weekend. It's called the 3 Saturday questions. Ask yourself, 1, what did I do this week just because it was urgent rather than actually important? 2, what do I keep doing out of pure habit without truly choosing to do it? And 3, what difficult question am I avoiding by filling all my free time with random activities? Seriously, taking just 10 minutes to sit with these can completely break you out of those robotic, automatic loops.
So let's wrap things up with one final provocative thought. Whether you are leading a massive team or you're just trying to manage your own daily task list, this is the ultimate test of moving from doing to discerning. Ask yourself, am I just increasing the volume of work, or am I increasing the quality of thinking with which this organization makes decisions? Really let that sink in. Focus on the quality of your thinking, protect your attention at all costs, and start discerning. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you navigate your own crossroads with purpose.